Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and today I'm turning the floor over to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator. We all know that he's an actor. Maybe I should put that in quotes. He's an actor. Anyways, he's in movies, and I mean, I like the movies, but as far as his acting ability, the famous actor, but also former governor of California and seven-time. This is how he got started in his rise from rags to riches. Classic story of immigrant who comes to this country with virtually nothing and then parlays his talent into talent, if we're talking about acting, into a multi-million-dollar fortune. But actually he was very wealthy long before that. He was brought in as a bodybuilder. He came in, he won Mr. Olympia 7 times. I think he's the only one to have won it that many times. I could be corrected on that, but he invested his money in, he used his fame as a bodybuilder to sell personal bodybuilding courses, and there were books of his exercise routines, and he made a fortune just from that. But then he invested in real estate and then made an even bigger fortune in real estate. That's probably where I would guess most of his wealth comes from. I could be wrong. And then, of course, movies. But I want to get to, as I said, former governor of California. Since he came to the United States, he's always, to my knowledge, I believe actually, you may not know this about him. He has a master's in business from the University of Wisconsin. He actually has a master's degree in business. He's an MA. So he I assume, lived in Wisconsin for a while. But other than that, my assumption is that he's practically the whole time he's been in the United States, he has lived in California, or as he would call it, California. So he's lived there his whole time. So if he knows, well, he's going to explain. I'll turn over to him in a moment. Trust me, he's coming. But the problem, California has a few problems. California, I don't quite want to call it a failed state, but when you see all these Silicon Valley millionaires, and billionaires, very liberal, and how they are now supporting Donald Trump. That's how bad. I mean, that's pretty bad there. You have the water situation. Trump actually has alleviated that a little bit. You have more people. The classic gauge that one uses is the cost of a U-Haul. If you want to rent a U-Haul, it depends where you're going. It depends how many U-Hauls there are in the state for you to rent, supply and demand. It costs much more to rent. It costs very little to rent a U-Haul if you want to move to California. If you want to move out of California, it costs you a lot more. You can look it up. You can Google it. I'm not going to give you the exact numbers, but it's much more because there is much smaller. There's a scarcity of U-Haul trucks, trucks or trailers in California, because you rent, you know how U-Haul works. So you rent the U-Haul where you are, and then you turn it in at your destination. So if you have a lot of people wanting to move if you have very few people wanting to move to California, then there are plenty of U-Haul trucks in, say, Texas, because people are moving to Texas. So the U-Haul trucks and trailers are piling up in Texas, and I would imagine Florida, the state where I am now, Tennessee, and you can imagine, it's the opposite in California. But there are a lot of problems, and here is Arnold Schwarzenegger to explain. This is one of the most succinct explanations I've seen about the problems with California, and how I would, the people responsible, as I said to the title to this today's vlog, liberals. But how? What did they do? How did they screw up? That's the basic question. And here to answer that question, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
When I came over here, it was 19, 20 million people in California. Well, they built 6-lane highways. So now when you go to 40 million people, you would know mathematically now you need 12-lane highways, meaning 6 lanes, and then on top of it you build another freeway, right? So that you don't have traffic congestion. But that's not what they did.
Right.
Then when you have to, when you go from 20 to 40 million people, then you need twice as many houses.
Yeah.
You need twice as many apartment buildings. You need twice as much of everything. Schools and everything. And they didn't. They didn't take care of them because the environmentalists thought that if we say no growth, then no one will come. But in the meantime, no one gives a shit about that. They come anyway. When the prices go up, the value of the apartment building goes up. So the unit that used to cost $600 now costs $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
But the salaries, the wages didn't go up accordingly.
Yep.
So now you have people that are economically homeless. They cannot afford paying for their rent anymore. So this is created by the politicians. And now remember what Einstein said, the people that created the problem cannot solve it. So they are doing the same thing over, which is another thing Einstein said. If you try to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity.
And it feels like that's what we're living.
So this is what we're dealing with here.
That's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. Your comments, especially if either you live currently in California or if you are one of those people who has moved out of California, would love to hear from you. And we'll share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.